Hey, welcome back to Stock Talk with Erik Anthony. Happy Hump Day. Wow, a lot has happened since the last video. Got some interesting stuff to bring to you. We got some new hires from ABML, some new publications that are including them. I have a altered recipe for cathodes that's going to just probably change the game for solid state batteries, in my opinion. I want to bring to your attention what has been going on in the market overall these past couple days, specifically with earnings in the Mount Fang sector. And I want to just go over some of our price actions for some of our favorite sectors that we like to follow here on the channel. I know I've been gone for a few days. Over the weekend, we were celebrating the Easter holiday, got to see some family. It was really fun. I haven't seen family in a few months. But more importantly, my little boy got to finally meet some of his cousins for the first time. As you know, being more of in his toddler stage, he got to enjoy some of his four-legged friends, as you can see here, and also his two-legged friend. My cousin recently got a chicken coop. He put me on and educated me in the whole chicken process. So super excited to see. Check these dudes out. You know, one of their names is Betty White. As you can see there, that one right there. The rest of them, I don't really remember their names, to be honest with you. But one thing that did jump out to me was their eggs taste way better. I was able to learn exactly what goes into a chicken coop, what is involved in a chicken hen, and more importantly, that I was unaware that these chickens actually have personalities. So for all my folks out there that have chickens or goats or whatever you have, let me know in the comments below if any of you guys have your own chickens and if you guys also have a little setup like this, because I am very intrigued. I know my wife and I are very intrigued. We're going to try to figure out how maybe we can build a little coop for the house. But anyway, that's just a quick highlight on what we did over the weekend. As I'm sure as you guys have heard, just a couple days ago, the news broke that Judge Mizell has ruled out the need for a mask on public transportation, specifically in the airlines and trains and stuff of that nature. I think there are subways that will still require it. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. All right, let's start with big retail. And mind you, what big retail brings as an investor in this market right now, with so many people playing options, it seems that our value stocks are the ones that are preserving the capital the most, and at the same time, actually, they seem to be doing much better than the sectors that we like to follow here on this channel. All right, well, let's check it out. Everything all green, just under 2% for most of them. And now let's hop into our EV sector that we like to follow. Today, as you can see, just a brutal day, especially for ABML. ABML is down just under 15%. Not financial advice, but these are the days that are very enticing to make a little bit of a nibble. And then as you can see with some of the automakers all down, with NIO being down the most today with around 8%. NIO is actually looking pretty juicy. So that's just something I would keep on your guys' radar as we keep seeing this downward trend. Unless you think all these companies are going bankrupt, I feel like a lot of these companies are starting to present themselves as great buy-in opportunities. Hopping into our semiconductor plays, everything all down today, ranging around just under 3% down. Fintech was actually hit pretty hard today as well, all down just around the 6 to 8%. Our long-term plays also all down today. Except one thing you want to keep in mind, Palantir did sign a new contract worth about $90 million over a 5-year span. I'll have a video more on that later on. Okay, moving into our 3D metal plays. 3D metal today was also pretty much down. NNDM was up a little bit, but you know, marginally. And desktop metal is actually right around $4 again. So crazy, just in a matter of a week or two, where desktop metal, you know, some believe that it won't fall below $5, and here we are right back to $4. So if any of you guys are interested in 3D metal plays, there's some pretty attractive entry points being made. All right, well, let's hop into our genomic plays. As you can see, you know, everything down about 2%. Minus QSI was actually up just about 2% today. So really nothing going on crazy there. But one thing that has jumped out to me is that PacBio is almost knocking on the door of being in the 6s, which to me is absolutely insane. If any of you guys have been following their share price, you know, they were almost in the 30s, not, you know, less than maybe 12 months ago. So kind of keep that in mind. That's crazy. And now let's move into the main highlights and lowlights of the day. Mount Fang, all down today with the exception of Microsoft. Netflix, just a horrible day. Netflix down 35%, and we know in the after hours yesterday after they reported, they were down about 25%. And as you can see in this image right here, just over the past 3 months, Netflix is actually down over 56%, trading around $226. And again, like I had mentioned, down 35%. The share price went down today over $120 per share. You know, I know Ackman just lost about 400 million in a matter of 60 minutes. So for all the you Netflix longs out there, trust me, I feel for you. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are still holding, if you guys added to your position, you know, doing some dollar cost averaging, or if you guys think that this is going to continue to bleed through. From what I was looking at and the support, it seems like Netflix has a little bit more ways to go down before it actually hits some of those support lines in the hundreds. So keep that on your radar. And now let's kind of just talk a little bit about why Netflix dropped as much as it did for the first time in 10 years, so a decade, a little bit over. Netflix has actually, they reported a loss subscribers. They've actually, just under 200,000 left the platform. And so that's never good, especially for a growth company. I don't know if this is a little bit of an overreaction from the share, from a share price standpoint, but let's try to take into account what has actually happened in the past couple of years that may have impacted negative growth with subscribers. You now have way more competition out there. You have Apple Plus, you have Hulu, you have Peacock, you have, oh my gosh, you have Discovery, you have Paramount. That's just to name a few. It seems like every major channel has its own subscriber-based platform that has taken away a lot of the catalog from Netflix. But keep in mind, what does Netflix also specialize in? They have a very strong hold on the international market when it comes to television and movie content. Me personally, I don't have a position in Netflix, but as someone that follows the Mount Fang sector, I do think this is important because Netflix is in many people's portfolios, and they do have a heavy weight on major indexes as well. So it's just something that you want to keep in mind. I know there's a lot of chatter out there on should Netflix be taken out of the Mount Fang category. I know for a lot of people out there, we only call it Fang. I've included Tesla and Microsoft in it just because I know a lot of people are wondering, does Netflix even belong and should it be replaced? And if so, who replaces it? Do any of you guys think that NVIDIA would be a good replacement? If so, let me know in the comments below because I don't see semiconductor chips going away anytime soon. Another sad low light for Netflix is that they do anticipate a decrease from the 200,000 and they foresee it to drop to almost 2 million by the second quarter. So keep that in mind. Another thing you want to think about with regard to what's going on over at Netflix is that they do foresee in the future to include ads into their programming. One thing that I would keep in mind is what has Netflix done over the past few months that hasn't helped them? They have increased their prices. They've increased their prices, but they've been losing their catalog. They've increased their prices and they have less exclusives. They've increased their prices and they've also let people know that we're going to figure out who out there is sharing the password. And once that is figured out, that those people will also be charged. And so, we've touched about it here, whether it was Costco increasing its membership prices, Amazon doing the same, Tesla increased its prices on its models across the board. And that's just to give a few examples how some of the Mount Fang companies have increased prices and still been able to benefit from it. And another company that has increased its prices and have been open about it is Chipotle. So I'm very, very interested to see how Chipotle will do with an increase in prices, but not providing as much value as it may have in the past. I don't know if any of you guys have eaten at Chipotle lately. I know my wife and I finally did, maybe for the first time in I'm not even lying, probably 6 to 8 months was the first time we finally ate when we got back from vacation. And what we both noticed is that The size of the burrito that used to be like this big is no joke. That thing is half the size. Even the sheet of aluminum was half the size that it used to be. The amount of chicken, the amount of guacamole that you're getting, it seems that the guacamole is almost $4, but the amount that you're getting is definitely nowhere near what you used to get in the past. So I'm wondering when Chipotle's earnings come out, how that plays into it. Because if you go on Twitter and you just maybe, put in Chipotle, I guarantee you're not having a bunch of people saying, oh my gosh, this is the best burrito ever. There's a lot of negativity surrounding the lack thereof when it comes to what's being provided by Chipotle in comparison to their drastic price increases. Now, mind you, I know Chipotle has included, different forms of meats, and they've included tacos now, so they've definitely expanded the menu. But just because they have an expansion menu doesn't mean that the value in the product has increased. So just something to keep in mind. That's just me thinking out loud. Getting back to Netflix, one thing to keep in mind when it comes to Netflix is their competition and what their competition is able to bring to the table. Like I had mentioned earlier, you have Hulu, Apple Plus, and Amazon Prime, just to name a few, right? Now, keep this in mind. With the valuation of Netflix falling as drastically as it has just in the past 2 days, to me, do you think this is an opportunity for a competitor out there to just scoop it up and buy it? And if so, which one do you think? Personally, this seems to be a very, very strong opportunity for someone like Apple to make a splash. I know I resort to Apple buying everything, but Apple has a bunch of cash on hand. Apple already is introducing Apple TV to everyone. Apple just incorporated, MLB, and they're in talks of getting the NFL games as well. So imagine if they just, bought out Netflix and included that, and what that conglomerate would be like. I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing a little bit of chatter out there of a Netflix buyout if it continues to go the way it's going. Again, that's a big if. Okay, let's move into some positivity with Tesla. Tesla today reported on non-GAAP earnings of $3.22 per share versus $2.30. So that's a huge beat. They reported a beat on revenue of $18.756 billion versus an expected $18.1 billion. The automotive gross margin also increased to 32.9% versus expectations of 27.6%. If you look in this chart here, year over year, the automotive revenue is now increased to 87%. Total revenues is up 81%. Operating expenses is only at 15% with an adjusted EBITDA of 173%. And in Q1 of 2022, the EPS is at 286. If they keep going at the rate that they're going, especially with deliveries, I wouldn't be surprised if the EPS starts knocking on the door of $5 in the next coming quarters. There you have it. That is a company right there that is just a well-oiled machine. All right, well, let's move on to some exciting news that's surrounding ABML. American Battery Technology Company hires analytical chemistry lead formerly from Tesla, expanding the team of industry experts. ABML hired Mark McDaniel. American Battery Technology Company has tapped a new senior staff analytical chemist and former Tesla executive Mark McDaniel. McDaniel has over 20 years of experience as an analytical chemist within the environmental and research fields. At Tesla, McDaniel worked as a staff research scientist where he was a founding member of the GigaLab team and the analytical chemistry laboratory within the Tesla Gigafactory that helped develop the analytical processes for the assurance of quality within the battery manufacturing operations. McDaniel previously spent over 17 years at the Desert Research Institute, an institution recognized as a world leader in basic and applied environmental research as an assistant research scientist alongside other highly skilled scientists, engineers, technicians, and students collaboratively focused on understanding and answering critical science questions about global climate change, water quality and availability, air quality, the sustainability of desert lands, life in extreme environments, and science education. In this new role, McDaniel will lead a team of scientists in the development and implementation of analytical procedures to quantify the quality and performance of materials within the lithium-ion battery recycling and primary lithium hydroxide manufacturing systems. The development and implementation of the analytical methods required to quantify the performance of these battery-grade materials are not trivial, and Mark is one of the top experts that I've ever worked with in this field, according to ABML CEO Ryan Melsert. Mark was one of the first scientists that I hired while at the Tesla Gigafactory, and he played a critical role in the development and establishment of the processes within the manufacturing of lithium, nickel, cobalt, aluminum, and copper battery metal products of high energy density precursor and active cathode materials, and of on-site generated and refined high purity solvents. I'm gonna stop right there. With regard to aluminum, I have a company that I wanna bring to your guys' attention. It's trading in the $2 range right now, but the company's name is Pyrogenesis, and I have some exciting stuff to discuss specifically with regard to aluminum and silicon. So look out for that in the coming videos. And again, now ABML has another former Tesla employee on the roster. So again, love hearing these new hires and super excited for the future. I know today's price action was down 15%, but again, this is a long-term play. So for all my battery enthusiasts and all my lithium recycling enthusiasts, you guys should be very pumped to have Mr. McDaniel on the ABTC roster. Piggybacking off of ABML, let's check out this new article from Science and Science Exploration. Lithium costs a whole lot of money, so why aren't we recycling lithium batteries? So this article is really great. This article goes into exactly some of what are some of the biggest barriers with recycling lithium at this time, or lithium ion batteries at this time. It goes into some of the processes that are involved, and it names some of the major companies or companies that to look out for in the future, specifically ABML. And they quoted ABML's CEO Ryan Melsert on exactly how ABML focuses their approach to recycling lithium ion batteries. He also goes on to discuss his experience over at Tesla and how that played a pivotal role on the inside out and outside in looking of lithium ion recycling. Their experience developing a lithium ion battery car from start to finish, he said, helped him and his teams intimately understand what would be needed to reverse the process to recycle effectively. A defect or end-of-life battery, he said, is just another resource that contains valuable metals. As always, I'll put the links below to the new hire information so you get to know more about Mr. McDaniel, and you'll have that article, the Science and Science Exploration article, so that you can do your own DD and check out exactly some of the more specifics with regard to lithium-ion battery recycling and what needs to be changed so that that whole process can be more successful and to meet the demand for EV manufacturing. Okay, now let's talk about a huge article that really got my attention regarding solid state batteries. So before we get into the article, let me give you a word of the day. The word of the day will be rejig. What does rejig mean? Rejig means to organize something differently or to re-equip with machinery. Okay, so this article is from phys.org. I think it's maybe a play off of physics.org. So take out your pens and papers because this should be pretty fun to go over. The rejig cathode recipe gives new hope to solid-state batteries for electric vehicles. Solid-state batteries for electric vehicles offering greater energy density and range than contemporary lithium-ion batteries remain out of reach, not least due to challenges coming from the composition of the battery's cathode. A new cathode composition and accompanying manufacturing technique looks set to overcome this hurdle. Rechargeable solid-state batteries, the ones that are completely solid with no liquid components, have long been sought as the next generation of energy storage, not least for electric vehicles and other climate mitigation applications. They would be lighter, more energy dense, offering greater range and faster recharging than the current generation of lithium-ion batteries. And if you guys want more information on exactly what separates lithium-ion batteries compared to solid-state batteries and have a better understanding of the cooling process and how solid-state batteries and the addition of graphene to lithium ion and how that helps keep things cooler, lighter, you can check out my video. I will put the link below and I go into more detail highlighting exactly that process. The liquid electrolyte used in the latter is the medium through which current flows between the positive and negative electrodes, the cathode and anode respectively. But the liquid is what makes the battery heavy. It's also flammable and fires and are not uncommon occurrences. In a solid state battery, a solid electrolyte made of ceramic, glass, or a polymer is much safer as there are no leaks or splashing about while in transit and offers improved power density, cyclability, and shelf life. One of the biggest barriers for lithium ion batteries is the liquid involved and how it is highly combustible, flammable, and weighs much more. The key to making solid state batteries work is designing a good cathode that is capable of a high operating voltage and a high area capacity. Most of the composite cathode manufacturing technologies that have been explored so far result in batteries that do not even match the performance of existing commercial batteries, let alone exceeding them. These cathode technologies also suffer from the need for addition of excessive amount of binders and conductive agents to ensure that all active particles are uniformly spread out. So the researchers have developed a novel cathode composition and accompanying manufacturing technique that will overcome these challenges while offering a high area capacity. The quantity of the binders and conductive agents, in this case lithium hydroxide and boric acid, added is substantially reduced down to about 4% of the overall weight, and these are used as the additives in the sintering process during cathode formation. The resulting composite cathode delivering promised performance will hit an area capacity of above 8 mH centimeters squared within a wide range of voltages up to 4.4 V. This is expected to be used to manufacture solid state batteries with an energy density of 500 watts per kilogram, easily beating the 100 to 265 watt hours per kilogram energy density offered by contemporary lithium ion batteries. So again, I'll put the link below so you guys can check out the highlights of this article, but I'll also put the link to the entire study itself that goes into more detail regarding this new rejigging of the cathode process, ultimately reducing weight, additives, and more importantly, the probability of combustibility, flammability, and overall increasing the shelf life of these batteries for all EV manufacturers in the future. Okay, so that basically wraps up the new rejigging process for cathodes and how that will help increase the need for solid state batteries, and more importantly, help give a reason for a lot of these EV manufacturers to gravitate towards the use of solid state batteries rather than only lithium ion. And if you want more information on what other big manufacturers are trying to incorporate lithium ion solid state batteries into their future, you can go ahead and check out the video. I'll attach the link below that goes into exactly what auto manufacturers are doing this and some of the timeframes they look to accomplish this by. Now, as an ALPP long, reading this article, I know is kind of more physics based, but to me, I really nerded out on this because this is very exciting for anyone that has been paying attention to the moves that ALPP has been making and how they've gravitated towards trying to be one of the first to market for solid state batteries with their subsidiaries Electra and RCA. I hope you guys were able to get some good information on the rejigging process for cathodes, specifically for solid state batteries, have a much better understanding of the highlights and lowlights of the earnings that have been happening this week in the Mount Fang sector, and are now introduced to a new member of the ABML family. All right, well, like always, thank you so much for checking in with Stock Talk with Erik Anthony, and I'll see you mañana.